Smallpox, a disease that once tore through cities, leaving death in its wake. In the early 18th century, colonial Boston was no exception. The disease spread like wildfire, taking lives, sparing few, and striking fear into the hearts of the people. But in the midst of it all, an enslaved man named Onesimus held a secret, one that would alter the course of medical history. Onesimus was brought to Boston in the early 1700s and enslaved by Cotton Mather, a well-known Puritan minister. Like many enslaved Africans, his true origins, his real name, and the depth of his knowledge were stripped away, reduced to what his captors chose to see. But Onesimus carried with him something powerful, the wisdom of his homeland, knowledge passed down through generations. At some point, Mather questioned Onesimus about smallpox. The response he received was not what he expected. Onesimus told him that in his home country, people did not simply fear smallpox, they prepared for it. They had a method, one that involved taking material from an infected person's sores and deliberately introducing it into the body of a healthy person. A small wound, a controlled infection, and then immunity. This practice, known as variolation, had been used for centuries in Africa as well as in China and the Ottoman Empire. But to Mather and most of colonial New England, it was unheard of. The idea that an enslaved African knew something about medicine, something that could prevent disease, was beyond their comprehension. Mather, however, was intrigued. He began researching and soon found that similar methods had been practiced in other parts of the world. Convinced that Onesimus was telling the truth, he saw an opportunity. Then, in 1721, a deadly smallpox epidemic swept through Boston. The city was in crisis. Mather urged doctors to try this African method, but he was met with resistance. Many in the medical community rejected the idea. Others feared that deliberately introducing smallpox, even in a controlled way, was too dangerous. But one doctor, Zabdiel Boylston, decided to take the risk. He began inoculating people, starting with his own son and his enslaved workers. The results were undeniable. While nearly 15% of those who contracted smallpox naturally died, only about 2% of those who had been inoculated suffered the same fate. The numbers spoke for themselves, and yet resistance continued. Some saw it as unnatural, even sinful. Others simply refused to believe that an African practice could hold any value. Mather faced public outrage. A bomb was even thrown into his house with a note that read, "Cotton Mather, you dog, damn you. I'll inoculate you with this." But the truth could not be ignored. The method worked. Slowly, opinions began to shift. Variolation spread, saving countless lives, not just in Boston, but throughout the colonies and beyond. Onesimus's contribution, however, was largely erased. His knowledge had changed the course of medicine in America, but his name faded into the background. There is little record of what happened to him after these events. Some say he was able to buy his freedom. Others believe he remained enslaved. What we do know is that the wisdom he shared laid the foundation for future advancements in immunization. Decades later, smallpox inoculation would evolve into vaccination, pioneered by Edward Jenner, and later leading to the eventual eradication of smallpox in the 20th century. But long before that, before science had a name for it, before Western medicine took credit, there was Onesimus and the knowledge of his people, ignored, resisted, yet undeniably effective. His story is a reminder of how African knowledge and traditions have shaped the world, even when history refuses to acknowledge it. A reminder that even in the depths of oppression, wisdom persisted. And a reminder that Black history is not just a record of struggle, but a testament to resilience, brilliance, and impact. This is the story of Onesimus, and this is the BLK History Channel.